What's up, guys? Adam here from Cover 3 Media to talk about two running backs that were impacted by the 2023 NFL Draft. I was really hoping there'd be some veterans on the way out that got replaced by some of these running backs in this 2023 NFL rookie running back class. I think it's a pretty deep class, and there's a lot of players who could pop off given the right situation and the right volume in their careers. Now, the two players who are negatively impacted from an overall perspective in the dynasty community, Travis Etienne and Kenneth Walker, unfortunately had some running backs drafted to their team with some pretty considerable draft capital. So I want to talk about those two players today. I have already seen a swing in their value. I think the dynasty community is reacting a little bit too harshly to these two draft selections on these two teams. I want to ease your, nerves here about these new situations. I want to talk more in depth about these two running backs and what they have to offer for their offenses that will not go away. First and foremost, I want to start with Kenneth Walker because I think that a lot of my analysis on him will kind of translate over to Travis Etienne, and it'll be the similar thought process. But I want to talk about Kenneth Walker first because I do feel that there is a little bit more concern with him, considering he is more of a rushing running back in the NFL. So let's get right into it, guys, with Kenneth Walker. I want to start off by saying what my initial thoughts were on Zach Charbonnet before the combine, before the NFL draft, what my thoughts are on him now, and what they were on him last season, considering he was draft eligible after the 2021 college football season. So Zach Charbonnet, when we're looking at the 2021 college football season and where he was stacking against running backs before the declare deadline, he wasn't looking too high. Some people had him a little bit higher than others, but it was the clear cut initially. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Spiller. Now I'm not just saying that because he was rated like that back then, he can't get better over a year and people might open their eyes to him in a different light. My concern is that junior year, when he was at the same level as some of his other peers, he wasn't getting the same respect until after his senior year, after he was another year older, and the offensive line at UCLA was much more productive. So I am concerned about that overall aspect. Now, another thing to consider is a lot of people are high on Charbonnet because of his so-called speed and explosiveness, something that we thought we saw on tape, but wasn't necessarily translated in the NFL Combine this past off season. I think that definitely lowers my overall, view on him because before this NFL Combine, I looked at his tape and I was like, this guy isn't really good at making direction changes at top speed. He's kind of head over toes runner that needs to slow down to make, elusive cuts. Something that Kenneth Walker is very good at. It's a very different type of rusher. Kenneth Walker is an insane, elusive running back who can make cuts and make people miss, just overall. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about their differences on the team in Seattle, what they're going to bring to the team. But back to that initial thought process, prior to the NFL Combine, based on what I saw on, Zach Charbonnet's overall tape and and stats to consider, he was my running back 6. I think there are some other running backs in this class who are more talented. Given the opportunity, I think they could have a better career. I know Zach Charbonnet has a passing upside, guys. That's good for PPR. But I worry how his translation to the NFL will be at this next level speed and power. Because we thought that he was relying on his speed and power. He comes in lighter, comes in slower than we thought. Didn't really think his ball carrier vision was insane. Nothing really popped off the charts for me with his tape. He didn't have that wow factor. Kenneth Walker did. And he did in the NFL. He was an insane highlight reel type of guy. We'd like to see that. That changes games. And I think the Seattle Seahawks understand that. Now, let's get into the Seattle Seahawks. I know I was kind of going on a rant there. I am a Kenneth Walker fan, so I have to consider, my bias there. But I have to say, guys, look at the Seattle Seahawks. Let's consider their situation. Geno Smith is their quarterback. He's not a franchise quarterback. He had a great year last year, guys, but he hasn't shown consistency across his NFL career. I think the Seattle Seahawks are wise to that. I think that they know that, Geno Smith could very well come up and have a bad year this year, and they're going to need support from the running game. Even if Geno Smith is good, I think he's still going to benefit from a good rushing attack, and I think Pete Carroll is wise to that, and that's why he needs another talented running back who can come in right away and share considerable load with Kenneth Walker. Last year, we look at it, guys, DJ Dallas and Travis Homer, they were not doing it for him. It was all Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker was a production man. And we saw last year that Kenneth Walker dealt with some injuries his first season. That is a little bit concerning for me. Going forward, I hope he starts to get more healthy. I know running backs always seem to miss a game or two, so I can understand that. But Kenneth Walker, guys, what he provides for the Seattle Seahawks offense is something that not a ton of running backs can provide, and it's his breakaway ability, guys. That can change games, having large carries for very high yardage gains. Not a lot of running backs have, such breakaway potential like Kenneth Walker does, like Breece Hall does. Players like that can change an offense. You can look into Breece Hall last season. Breece Hall had a severe impact on the success of the Jets offense, considering how poor their quarterback play was. Now we look at the Seahawks, question marks around Geno Smith and his, overall production down the line. Is he going to keep up last year's, stats, or is that his 1 year, one hit wonder? So Seattle Seahawks, I think the thought process here with Charbonnet is let's get another back while we can who will have considerable immediate impact in the second round. Because their next pick was in the fourth round, guys, and I think they were worried, are we going to get somebody in the fourth round who's actually going to come in and actually produce a decent amount in our offense and actually provide a certain threat against other defenses? You think about it last season when Kenneth Walker was on the field with Geno Smith. Defenses, I don't care about the BAE, the box adjusted efficiency crap. When you actually break it down and think about it, when Kenneth Walker was on the field, defenses actually had to consider, hey, this guy could break off for a huge play and we're screwed. We can't give that away. That's Kenneth Walker. And we also have to consider DK Metcalf being on the field. We have to consider Noah Fant, who is a field stretching tight end. And we have to consider Tyler Lockett, who's always been good in stretching the field as well. So they had three threats on the field. Now, Kenneth Walker, he can't be on the field all the time. Running backs need to take breaks from time to time, or else you run the risk of getting hurt, and you run the risk of having lower efficiency due to fatigue. Additionally, yes, it's unfortunate Kenneth Walker isn't the greatest passing down back. He's not the greatest receiver. He's not the best pass blocker in the league. So that definitely hinders his ability to have volume on the field. But I think the thought process here, guys, was Kenneth Walker is a good running back who can definitely change the game. He's going to be utilized. He is a very, very important piece of this offense with Geno Smith. He's going to be utilized on early downs in the red zone. He has a nose for the red zone, guys. We've seen that in the tape. How he finds his way into the red zone, into the end zone is beyond me. This guy's a special player. He's going to be used on, a considerable amount of plays. I will not be surprised if he's still getting 20 touches a game, and Charbonnet is getting anywhere from 10 to 15. That's what I think the split's going to be. That's good for both of them. The Seattle Seahawks, I think they want to have consistency in the running back position on all downs. They want to have that threat consistently, because when Kenneth Walker wasn't on the field, the mentality shifts. The mentality shifts to passing. The mentality shifts to DK Metcalf, Noah Fant, Tyler Lockett, and shutting down Geno Smith. And Geno Smith, I honestly don't think he was a great passer under pressure. So they need to have Charbonnet on the field to threaten the passing down and the rushing down at once. And then obviously Kenneth Walker will play into the fold of a nice play action back and a nice, big play potential back. I think this is going to be a very nice fit. I think the NFL is, the offenses are ever evolving. They're finding ways to make it work because there's only a very few select elite quarterbacks who can get it done. And I think that the Seattle Seahawks here are thinking, hey, we need to have a consistent running back in that backfield. And that's what they did with Charbonnet. Similar thought process here with Etienne, but Etienne has more of a all-around perspective in the sense that he can receive the ball, but I still think his pass blocking could use some help. So I think, Tank Bigsby here, and we've seen that the Jacksonville Jaguars like to use a few running backs. They like to have a good split. I think that's good for Travis Etienne considering his injury history. Travis Etienne, another thing that concerns me is his fumble history. That could be something that the Jacksonville Jaguars are not appreciating. And if Tank Bigsby does come in and secures the ball more and is a very efficient running back and can pass block and can receive, that's where I am more worried about Travis Etienne and his future, is that fumbling perspective. But both running backs there are good running backs. I still think Etienne is going to have, the nod here in the beginning. If he starts to crap the bed, if he's not having the breakaway rushes that he had last season, and he's not proving himself in the passing game, I think that's where I start to get more worried because, Tank Bigsby is a very similar play style to Travis Etienne. So I have a little bit more concern about Travis Etienne and his future with the Tank Bigsby selection there because I don't think that, like Kenneth Walker, there's a huge separation in capability and play style. So I think more so Kenneth Walker will fit a certain role and Zach Charbonnet will fit a certain role, whereas Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby are kind of going to be similar play styles where, Tank could cut in more to Etienne's playing time depending what's going on. So I'd like to watch out for that, guys. Obviously, I still think Etienne was a better prospect coming out of college, but he did get slowed down from his foot injury, his freshman season in the NFL. So stuff to consider there, guys. We'll see what happens with that. I would say with the decrease in value with Kenneth Walker, it's just time to hold on to him, have some faith. I just don't really think, you're going to get the value in return. I think it's worth holding on to him for the sake of your team next season and in the future. Again, like I said, guys, NFL offenses are always evolving. I think they're starting to realize more again that the rushing game is important for these quarterbacks who are not elite guys who can be throwing the ball 40 times, 45 times, 50 times a game and be handling pressure. There's not a lot of quarterbacks like that out there, and you need to have a lot of threats like the 49ers have been doing over the past couple of years with their poor quarterbacks to have a chance at making it deep in the playoffs and hopefully winning a Super Bowl. So Seattle, I think that's their direction there, more so than the Jacksonville Jaguars. One little other toss in here, guys, is the fact that Seattle's offensive line is like they just call it a bookshelf. There are 2 tackles left and right, and the inside is kind of crappy, and that's where Kenneth Walker struggled this past season. So I think not all of Kenneth Walker's failures are due to him. I think the running, the offensive line is something to watch going forward. And I'm not thinking that Charbonnet is going to have a much better opportunity or chance with this offensive line either. So, as always, guys, Cover 3 Media, I got you covered. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully, this kind of eased your worries about Kenneth Walker. I'm not out on him yet. I still have faith. I think there was, motivation behind this pick that did not necessarily was not necessarily in the sense that they were worried about Kenneth Walker's production. I think Pete Carroll in that office knows that Kenneth Walker brings something special to the table. So rest assured, guys, if you like this content, drop a like. If you disagree or agree, or you have some other input, drop a comment. We're more than willing to answer your comments, and we love learning from you guys too. So hit that subscribe button, guys, if you want to stay on top of our content and hear more content like this. Again, I hope this helped you guys ease your nerves about Kenneth Walker and hopefully a little bit about Travis Etienne, but my nerves are a little bit more high for him. But anyways, guys, have a good one. Stick with it. We got you covered.